Work report. The Standing Committee of the National People's Congress has presented its work report at the second session of the 14th NPC in Beijing. Bold statement. U.S. President Joe Biden delivers a State of the Union speech, calls for support in Ukraine, and urges Israel to prioritize humanitarian aid to Palestinians. Power Punch. On International Women's Day, we explore the surge in female boxing popularity in China, fueled by a recent blockbuster movie sensation. From CGTN headquarters here in Beijing, this is Global Business. I'm Michelle Vandenberg. The Standing Committee of the National People's Congress, or NPC, has delivered its work report at the second session of the 14th NPC. Gao Yiming has more.
2023 was the first year when the guiding principles from the 20th National Congress of the Communist Party of China were fully implemented. Solid progress has been made in building a modern socialist country in all respects, said Zhao Leji, chairman of the NPC Standing Committee, while delivering the report on the work of the Standing Committee of the NPC.
Deputies could fully be given full play by representing the people and coming from the people. We encourage the deputies to listen to the voice of the people and relay their feedback to the government. We organize concentrated inspections and field research.
Landmarks of the progress made included economic recovery post-COVID, promotion of high-quality development and social stability. The report said under the strong leadership of the CPC Central Committee with Comrade Xi Jinping at its core, the National People's Congress stayed true to the party leadership, running of the country by the people, law-based governance, and performed the legislative functions as stipulated in the Constitution.
Improve the socialist legal system with Chinese characteristics. We will carefully implement the legislative plan of the Standing Committee. We will try to legislate based on the rule of law. And third, we will solidly and effectively carry out our obligation in oversight. We will try to improve the rigidity and efficacy of the oversight work. This year, we plan to arrange 35 oversight programs. Fourth, we will play to the role of the NPC deputies. We will formulate opinions on strengthening the NPC deputies' capacity building so that the deputies could honor their obligations in accordance with the law. Fifth, extend the NPC's external communication. We will improve the targetedness and efficiency of our relationship with the overseas so that we could implement a policy of major country relationship with the Chinese characteristics.
The report said the year ahead is crucial for fulfilling the goals and tasks set in the 14th Five-Year Plan. 2024 marks the 75th anniversary of the founding of the People's Republic of China and the 70th anniversary of the founding of the NPC. To push things forward, the Congress aims to continue improving the socialist legal system with Chinese characteristics and taking solid steps to exercise effective oversight and expanding international exchanges.
China is set to continue its efforts towards green transition as outlined in the government work report. The nation aims to enhance the environment, promote green and low-carbon economy, and work towards carbon neutrality. Plans include establishing a budget management system at provincial and prefecture levels, defining standards for climate goals, prioritizing urgent standards, and fostering a market-based innovation system for green technologies. Additionally, China will introduce demonstration programs for cutting-edge technologies and develop green industry bases. Let's now explore China's economic agenda presented during this year's two sessions and gather perspectives from countries along the Belt and Road. We'll also check in with our correspondent Adele Amaroki in Cairo for more insights. Hi there, Adele. So, in a government report, work report submitted on Tuesday, China outlined its plans to achieve significant advancements in high-quality Belt and Road cooperation. Could you highlight the key aspects of this green cooperation between China and the countries along the Belt and Road?
Well, this basically reaffirms China's strategy when it comes to renewables and green energy and green technologies in general that has been already on track for the past few years. If you take a look in the Middle East regionally, in the United Arab Emirates, where COP28 was held just at the end of the last year, China helped it to build Al Zofra solar farm, a massive project that is expected to supply electricity for 200,000 households in the UAE, cutting tons of carbon emissions in the UAE alone. The similar projects in terms of capacity and magnitude can be seen in countries like Oman, in Morocco, and Egypt specifically, when during the Belt and Road Summit that was held in October last year, there has been an agreement to invest about 14.75 billion US dollars. China is going to invest in green areas in Egypt alone. And that only reflects the capacity of Chinese vision when it comes to green from finance and of course technology. So for Egypt, for instance, beside renewable energy, there is massive investments being poured into producing green hydrogen, green ammonia, and other technologies and fertilizers, all based and powered by renewable energy. In general, take a look in Africa, Chinese investments come from the very basic in terms of mining for raw materials that are essential for having and building up transformation into green energy, into producing solar farms, wind farms, and other industries that would rely mainly on renewable energy. So this comes to support Africa's transformation into green energy and increase its capacity when it comes to industrialization based on green technologies, which is essential for Africa to empower it when it comes to global exportation. Besides that, also Chinese investment associations and banks and development banks have been pouring billions of dollars in investments to support and finance these vision in general, which is quite promising to the African continent and also reflects the magnitude of cooperation that can be projected in the next few years.
All right, thank you so much for the report, Adel Amaroki in Cairo for us. Let's stay with the discussion on green cooperation as it becomes more and more important under the global context. Finnish ambassador to China, Leena-Kaisa Makola, recently spoke to CGTN and shared her outlook on China-Finland cooperation in energy and technology. Let's hear what she had to say.
The field of clean technology, green transition is something very important in our relations. We have certain pilot energy projects promoting innovative solutions, for example, in the field of smart grid. Also, we are trying to develop our cooperation in the field of circular economy, and we're happy to see that there is growing interest here in China to cooperate with that field as well.
China's electric vehicle giant BYD has emerged as the world's leading electric car maker, surpassing Tesla. China has also successfully established itself as a global leader in green energy industries, including electric vehicle and solar panel sectors. Our reporter Edis Tayensen provides an in-depth analysis of this development.
China leads the world in clean energy production. It produces about 80% of the world's solar panels and EV batteries and nearly 60% of electric vehicles.
China is the world's leader in terms of battery technology. It's the world's leader in terms of the production of key minerals that go into not just the batteries, but in terms of other products.
As of this year, Chinese EV giant BYD has taken over Tesla as the world's top-selling electric car maker. Nearly 1 out of every 3 cars in China is an electric vehicle, the majority of which are Chinese brands. And China dominates the world in the clean transportation sector, accounting for over 90% of the world's electric buses and trucks as of 2021, according to the International Council on Clean Transportation. Shenzhen became the first city in the world to fully replace its diesel buses for electric. Other Chinese cities have since followed, with many aiming to fully switch their systems before 2025.
At the beginning of the service, we step by step solve the problem. Now we can say we almost have the same technical performance of our e-buses compared to diesel buses.
China has also outpaced the US and Europe in investments in renewable energy.
Definitely, the move to renewables globally partly passes through China, no matter where it ends. China is an important producer of solar panels. Even if those panels are labeled as something else, they largely originate in China. China is an important participant in terms of wind turbine technology. So definitely the connection, the effort to move to cleaner sources of energy is partly a China story. No matter where that energy ends up being generated, it's often dependent on resources that were produced in China.
In 2021, China set a goal for its renewable energy capacity to exceed fossil fuels by 2025. It reached that target last year, 2 years ahead of schedule. Renewable sources now make up more than half of the country's power capacity.
And China is a global leader at the national level. In the case of the United States, it was just 22%.
And on the first day of China's annual Two Sessions meeting this week, delegates talked about the government's tech innovation push and new quality productive forces.
As for these new quality productive forces, from the perspective of energy, it is certainly going to be more of our new green energy. For example, the report actually mentions hydrogen energy and the hydrogen energy industry. I'm a representative from Hong Kong, where in the energy sector we are also promoting the development of hydrogen energy. We are already promoting the construction of the first hydrogen refueling station in Hong Kong.
Mega projects like these aim to propel China toward its goal to have its CO2 emissions peak before 2030 and achieve carbon neutrality before 2060. It is Tianshan, CGTN, Los Angeles.
Moving on to some other business headlines from across China. China's passenger vehicle sales in February decreased by 21% compared to the previous year, reaching about 1.1 million units, according to the latest data published by the China Passenger Car Association. This decline was primarily driven by a decrease in sales during the Spring Festival. However, the accumulated sales for this year has increased by 17% year-on-year, surpassing 3.1 million units. Gold prices surged to a new high on Thursday, influenced by various factors such as the anticipation of rate cuts by the Federal Reserve, ongoing international geopolitical conflicts, the willingness of global central banks to hold gold, and seasonal demand from consumers. Analysts predict that the gold prices will continue to remain high and may even reach $2,300 per ounce in the second half of this year. The gross domestic product of the Chengdu-Chongqing Economic Circle in Western China reached 8.2 trillion yuan, or about $1.14 trillion last year, and accounted for 6.5% of the country's total GDP. You're watching Global Business, still to come. U.S. President Joe Biden delivers State of the Union speech, calls for support in Ukraine, and urges Israel to prioritize humanitarian aid to Palestinians.
The National People's Congress, China's top legislature, and the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference, the country's advisory body, convene their annual sessions in Beijing. Lawmakers and advisors will assess the country's performance, craft laws, and refine policies that will chart a course of China's ongoing modernization drive. Beijing once again hosts the Two Sessions, where China takes stock of what it has achieved and where it's headed next. Join us as we bring you highlights and analysis of China's agenda in our special coverage of the Two Sessions, here on CGTN.
U.S. President Joe Biden has made his case against former President Donald Trump's vision for America ahead of their face-off in the November election. Speaking at his third State of Union address on Thursday night, Biden also urged congressional support for assistance in Ukraine. He issued a sharp directive to Israel's leaders, telling them not to hold up humanitarian aid to Palestinians for political purposes. This speech provides Biden one of his biggest audience of the year as he tries to gain support for a second term. Nathan King reports.
A very important State of the Union, his last of his first term, and the first since Super Tuesday, which we all confirmed then, of course, that it'll be Donald Trump versus Joe Biden in the general election for the U.S. presidency in November. You know, age of Joe Biden has become an issue, but he came out very feisty indeed, dealing with hecklers from the Republican side, taking them on rhetorically. Yes, he had a few coughs. Yes, he had a few stumbles, but he showed to be very much on top of the issues. Can I also want to say that foreign policy doesn't normally feature heavily in State of the Union speeches, but this one, straight off the top, he basically implored the House Republicans sitting in front of him to pass Ukraine aid, $60 billion package, which has been held up because of other domestic considerations, including immigration. And he accused his opponent, or predecessor, as he said, Donald Trump, of essentially being a friend of Putin. He said, "We will not back down in the support of Ukraine. I will not back down." He basically talked about democracy being under threat abroad at the beginning, but then at home, referencing January 6th in the very chamber where congressmen were locked, essentially saying that the Trump administration were in denial about what had happened. There were many Republicans who tried to wash it away. He won't wash it away. He went on to talk about freedoms, women's right to choose, things like that. A lot of domestic concerns, but then saved, importantly, the Palestinian-Israeli issue towards the end of the speech. He confirmed that he will be building this as yet undefined military-built pier for humanitarian aid in the Mediterranean just off the Gaza coast. He implored Israel to let in more humanitarian aid. He was pretty even-sided in terms of his sympathies, but what he also said was that the only way to end this is an enduring two-state solution. On China, the usual rhetoric about trade. He did say that he'd boosted alliances in the Indo-Pacific and also stopped top technology being exported to China, something he said his predecessor didn't even think of. Nathan King, CGTN, the U.S. Capitol in Washington.
Now let's check out some other news headlines from around the world. The U.S. non-farm payrolls report, which is expected to be released later today, is set to show an addition of around 200,000 jobs last month, which is lower than the 353,000 jobs gain recorded in January. The country's unemployment rate is projected to remain unchanged at 3.7% for February. In other news, India is making a significant push into the artificial intelligence sector with plans to invest $1.2 billion in various AI projects. The country's information technology ministry stated that these funds will be utilized for establishing computing infrastructure and supporting AI startups. German industrial output experienced a rebound in January with a 1% increase compared to the previous month. This marks the first rise in industrial output in 9 months since April of the previous year. Today is the International Women's Day. Female boxers have been seen more frequently at fitness centers recently in China. Our reporter Zhang Shixuan learns how a blockbuster movie has made boxing trendy among Chinese women.
The strength, rapid punches, and the sweat. Yes, the fairer sex also perspires, have made female boxing fans think of it as a form of girl power. Women have been seen far more frequently of late in boxing rings at fitness centers around China.
I box twice a week. I go boxing once or twice a week.
The sport's increased popularity among women has been partly driven by a new movie blockbuster. You Only Live Once showcased film star Jia Ling's weight loss journey. She shed an astonishing 50 kilograms in a year through intense strength training, and in the film became a boxer. Despite some criticism on whether the film has exposed audiences to another round of content that could drive body image anxiety, the inspirational story earned a whopping 3 billion yuan during the Spring Festival to win the holiday box office crown.
I just started working for a week now after the Spring Festival. I have around 4 or 5 new members.
Though it was on a workday around noon, a fitness center in Huangpu district was full of people. The boxing ring was seeing heated bouts.
We have 3 or 4 new women members this month. For every 10 female members in the past, maybe 3 would take up boxing. Now, it's up 10%.
The majority of women interested in boxing asked for personal training sessions. And it seems it's not just a matter of losing weight.
It's good for my body coordination, heart, and lungs. It also helps me relieve pressure because it makes me happier and relaxed. It helps me train my muscles, my power, and explosive power. It also helps me improve my flexibility, something I cannot achieve without regular exercise. It also helps lift my confidence.
It's all about power, pressure relief, and fitness. The growing popularity of women's boxing means rising revenues for fitness business. An hour-long personal training session will usually cost you several hundred yuan.
Previously, it was hard to get a new member. Usually at the beginning of the year, I had to look for potential boxers since many women were not willing to do boxing. But after watching the movie, many started to believe that boxing can help them lose weight.
Ma now has 30 to 40 new clients a year. Half of them are women. And it's not just newcomers. Existing members have also been taking boxing courses more frequently.
Some members who did not come much in the past have started to book new courses after watching the movie. Those who used to take a course once a week are now coming 2 or 3 times a week.
And the new trend has brought new business prospects to new fitness centers. Having opened just 1.5 months ago, this fitness center in Jing'an district already has 20 members. 60% are women. Each 45-minute boxing session here costs either 400 or 500 yuan.
All women members have chosen boxing courses. And now, because of the movie, many are interested in trying it.
Whether it's a jab, hook, or uppercut to the jaw, more women are getting out there and throwing some punches. Zhang Shixuan, ICS for CGTN Shanghai.
Participants at a forum held in Beijing are calling for more effort in empowering women. Titled Invest in Women, Accelerate Progress, the forum was jointly organized by the China International Development Cooperation Agency, UN Women, and the Center for China and Globalization. Zhang Siran reports.
It's the 3rd year for the series of forums dedicated to women's rights being held in Beijing on International Women's Day. This year's event, attended by government officials, UN agencies, and experts from the private sector and civil society, aims at galvanizing cross-sector efforts towards financing and investing in women.
The theme this year is Invest in Women and Accelerate Progress. This comes out of the fact that the SDG 5 is really lagging behind, and there is a massive global shortfall of funding to achieve even the 3 targets related to SDGs on hunger, food security, and on women's participation. So we do need a concerted effort towards poverty alleviation. And of course, if women have income, they have livelihood, it has multiplier effect on the empowerment and overall development of women.
According to UN Women, developing countries need $360 billion annually to address gender equality under the Sustainable Development Goals. Increasing women's share of assets and finances benefits women and the society as a whole.
We can utilize the data and the research to identify the gaps and opportunities for investing in women. Additionally, we can introduce the financial incentives and instruments or the subsidies to encourage governments and business to support, invest women's training and education. So we should establish the mechanism to guarantee those accountability and improvement.
On this International Women's Day, global efforts towards gender equality are once again highlighted. According to the participants, China's engagement in the dialogue underscores the importance of collective action in empowering women and girls everywhere to achieve their full potential. Zhang Siran, CGTN, Beijing.
China's mutual visa exemption with Thailand, Singapore and Malaysia is an important step in diplomatic relations and will help the recovery of the region's tourism industry. Dosita Sakao reports.
It picture perfectly encapsulates the uniqueness of Thai culture. The ornate details of age-old temples, the traditional wares, the peaceful ambience. Behind the scenes of this serenity are crowds of Chinese tourists, adorned in Thai attire, waiting to get that one perfect shot. Getting pictures like this has fast become a trend. Thai costume rental shops have mushroomed around key tourist hotspots, mainly catering to Chinese tourists that have come back in droves. A visa-free policy is set to bolster these numbers, as the country expects up to 20,000 Chinese tourists a day. But beneath the numbers and the economics, these scenes are fostering something else. A beautiful display of cultural exchange, a symbiotic understanding between tourists and locals.
Thailand has officially entered its visa-free era with China. It is clear that by simplifying travel procedures and removing visa barriers will lead to a robust tourism recovery. But visa policies also play a crucial role in strengthening regional connectivity and providing a bridge that connects cultures and peoples.
Traveling between two countries will bring us closer. It opens the door to the heart. Everything is open. There is no obstruction between two countries. When there are no borders, anything is possible.
The Chinese market has long been the biggest source of tourists for ASEAN countries, as the region is not only geographically close, but has strong cultural and economic ties with China. The facilitation of unrestricted travel to visa-free countries like Thailand, Singapore and Malaysia is expected to serve as a catalyst for further economic cooperation and collaboration between China and Southeast Asian countries.
This
will rapidly deepen the economic links between China and ASEAN. The direction from now on, I think, is positive and will be in line with China's strategic efforts regarding the Belt and Road Initiative. The region will certainly benefit from these measures in the long run.
It's a new chapter in travel freedom through a region that is becoming increasingly connected. It's a treasure trove of cultural exchanges, business opportunities, and friendship-forging moments. A testament to the strength of diplomatic ties and the endless possibilities that can arise from opening doors and breaking down barriers. Lucita Saogao, CGTN, Bangkok, Thailand.
And that will do it for this edition of Global Business. I'm Charlotte Lindbergh in Beijing. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.